My name's Zach Shaheen.
So my name is George Christakopoulos.
My name is Sean Mahmood.
My name is Bryce Binstead. As we're talking about today, direct the PSTP within pediatrics. And it's a wonderful program. Within pediatrics, the American Board of Pediatrics has two different specialized research pathways that residents can pursue. One is the accelerated research pathway, which is 2-year residency followed by 4 years of subspecialty fellowship training. The idea being that you get more protected research time during fellowship. The other is called the integrated research pathway, and in that it's a 3-year residency, but with up to 12 months of protected research time during the residency years, followed by a 3-year subspecialty fellowship.
I think what's probably nice for some of the interested applicants to know is that you do not need to commit to either one of those pathways right off the bat. What I did was the accelerated research pathway, and in that path you shorten your residency by a year. You lose a little bit of elective time, but you still get all your core work done. And then you move on to a fellowship, which then becomes a 4-year sort of research extensive fellowship.
I deliberated on whether I would do the accelerated or the integrated track. I ultimately chose the integrated track, which means that I would do a 3-year pediatric residency and have up to 1 year of research dispersed between my second and third year.
I actually did the integrated research pathway where duration of residency is still 3 years, but I have 1 year of protected research time. The main reason for me doing this pathway was that I wanted to have a little bit more flexibility regarding, like if I'm going to stay at the University of Minnesota or not. Plus, it was also a significant component was like visa-related things because I had to do additional work for shortening my residency.
I have an upcoming 6-month block of research, which will be the majority of my research during residency. In terms of building the schedule, in terms of getting this approved by the American Board of Pediatrics, my advisors, our clinical and other faculty and staff have all been very supportive to help facilitate this and really to protect my time as well. I think that's important because there are places I interviewed that they might have these available, but you might constantly be on backup call or getting pulled into clinical service. And so I think it's really important to think about when you're looking at any of these research track programs to make sure that that research time is really maximally protected.
But I think people, if there are some applicants that are less, kind of pointed in one research direction, that integrated pathway can be nice because you might have more opportunity to explore different research areas. And if you were interested in, say, clinical research where maybe part of your project is data analysis or something like that you can do in shorter chunks of time, I think that would work really well.
Yeah, it's been wonderful. I'll ignore the era of COVID, which has interrupted some of my research plans, but our administrative staff, our faculty, and everybody in between are very supportive of people who have individualized training plans, including the physician scientist pathway.
I think the residency did a great job in supporting me in that. I mean, I think, first of all, just not having to commit to either one of those pathways up front was something that I really appreciated. In my case, I had been around here and really knew what I wanted to do kind of going into it. And so I didn't need a lot of assistance from the residency program really in pinning down those key connections. But I will say that our pediatric PSTP director, Dr. Binstead, is just amazing at, really knowing kind of how to help a person find a good research home for themselves.
The research opportunities at a large institution like the University of Minnesota are really unlimited. We have great strength in the basic sciences. For those of you who want to do bench research, I'm biased toward immunology, where my lab is in the Center for Immunology, which is a world-renowned center. We have a stem cell institute that interfaces a lot with the bone marrow transplantation division within our Department of Pediatrics. There's great strength in neuroscience, and just a host of basic science departments that are fantastic.
My expertise is I'm a biochemist who studied molecular and cellular mechanisms of how our immune system responds to infection, and all of that in the context of autoimmune disease. And my long-term interests really were to further examine the environmental determinants of either generating immune tolerance versus autoimmune or autoinflammatory disease.
Within pediatrics, we have very strong epidemiology as well that interfaces with the School of Public Health at the university. And so that's another great area of research expertise.
My interest was in bone marrow failure syndromes. We were exploring the role of two novel variants genes that have never been associated with a disease before. And that project was done in collaboration with the National Cancer Institute. So that was also a great opportunity for me to get in touch with, other prominent people in the field and developing more collaborative skills.
And in the middle, there are a ton of investigators doing translational work, working with patient material or patient, asking questions about patient cohorts in collaboration with laboratory investigators. And the Clinical Translational Science Institute helps those collaborations grow, helps put those researchers in contact with one another, and provide services like biobanking and statistical support.
Whatever you're interested in, if it's neuroscience, genetics, metabolism, there's going to be an expert in this area for you to work with.
Everybody knows that IMGs are a little bit harder to match into residency, especially in a big university program like the University of Minnesota. A lot of IMGs, when they come into residency, they already have some clinical experience as residents in their home country. I personally did not. Exactly after finishing medical school, I did some research and I had some gap. So for me, it was a little bit even more stressful in the beginning because I was already almost 4 years away from medical school and had no residency experience before. But I felt very supported from the program from the very beginning.
Well, I hope everyone will experience this because we residents will be available to chat over Zoom as well. But I think the thing that I want to make sure everybody knows is that the staff, the faculty, the residents, everybody in between, I think it's a really collaborative and friendly environment. And it was something that really stuck out to me during my visit to the U of M.
I would say just, it can be overwhelming when you're going through that process. I think that you'll find that the typical sort of structure, the 2-day interviews that most PSTP applicants are going to be having, where one day is sort of, let's learn about the clinical aspects of this program, and the other day is kind of, let's figure out what research is available to me here. It can be really tiring because you feel like your interview days are lasting so much longer. So I think going into it, paring that list down really as much as you can before you get started, and not overwhelming yourself, because you are going to have good options, and really what you're looking for is one that fits you well.
I feel that the University of Minnesota has a very special place in my heart, and I would love one day to be able even to come back and work at the University of Minnesota. And I feel that speaks a lot about my experience, because if I had an option after fellowship to work somewhere from all the places that I visited for so far, with Southwestern, Hopkins, where I did some clinical electives as a med student, Cincinnati, Minnesota, and St. Jude, I feel that the place that I would like to work in the future would be Minnesota so far.
I think we've covered a lot. I would encourage anyone who's applying to our PSTP to reach out to me directly by email. I love hearing from you and hearing why you're interested in University of Minnesota. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I also am in contact with PSTP directors around the country, and so if you have questions about how our program compares to others, or what are the differences between programs, I can provide some guidance that way too. I think all of us in this community really just want to make sure that our pediatric physician scientists get the optimal training they can, and finding the best fit for their residency is a key next step for you. So I'm happy to help advise you.